I took my family to see Sound of Freedom on Saturday. We knew about child sex trafficking beforehand. We're not QAnon conspiracy theory people by any stretch of the imagination. We've read about it in conservative media because, for some strange reason, so-called mainstream news media remains all but silent, except for pointing out how all the crazy American conspiracy theorists are flooding to box offices across America to see it. This is going to be a different kind of review. Let's get into it. Because of the subject matter, the movie is a very emotional experience. It's a difficult movie to watch because it's dark and it's bleak. And when you know that the movie is based on a true story and that there are hundreds of thousands of children today who are held captive in the sex trafficking trade nightmare, it makes you emotional, especially if you have kids of your own. Sound of Freedom is based on the true story of Tim Ballard, who was played by Jim Caviezel, the man who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. So the movie manages to communicate the reality of child sex trafficking without doing any exploitation or it being extremely graphic, like what we have come to expect from Hollywood. But this film didn't come from Hollywood, not really. The film was done by Angel Studios, which is the same studio that produced the wildly popular Chosen series about Jesus Christ's disciples. So far, Sound of Freedom has grossed close to $50 million. This is because over 1 million people have already watched the movie in AMC theaters around the country. It is a huge topic of interest for millions of Americans. The film was completed 5 years ago, but the filmmakers were blocked at every turn to get this movie into theaters. You have to ask yourself why. So the media hacks have attacked the film in every way possible, claiming it to be a QAnon conspiracy, as if child sex trafficking, which already grosses more than the gun running industry and is about to surpass the drug running cartel industry, doesn't exist at all. Rolling Stone magazine, among other things, put out 2 pieces to make the film look like it was done by a bunch of nut jobs. The one piece by Rolling Stone has the headline, "Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brainworms." There's a subtitle that says, "The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer." Now you know what the rest of the piece is going to be like. They had said, quote, "The film, which has grossed nearly $50 million, has been subject to criticism from anti-trafficking experts, many of whom claim it is an inaccurate depiction of child trafficking and that the tactics espoused in the film may actually put trafficked kids in danger." Yeah, trying to bring awareness to it would put those kids in danger. Others have focused on Operation Underground Railroad and Ballard himself, particularly his tendency to self-mythologize and embellish his exploits and his more recent pivot toward conspiracy theories. He's a conspiracy theorist now when it comes to child sex trafficking. The authors of the piece have no soul. But the worst thing that this leftist and worthless rag wrote was, quote, "Ballard himself has dabbled in Q-adjacent conspiracy theories." You see how they say Q-adjacent? Well, he's not really from QAnon, but we'll claim that he's Q-adjacent so that we can rip on him. Unbelievable. Ballard himself has dabbled in Q-adjacent conspiracy theories such as the Wayfair trafficking hoax. While his organization has far-right affinities, anything to the right of Lenin to these people is far-right, has far-right affinities and a long record of distorting its botched raids, which rely on bizarre tactics like asking psychics where to find victims for rescue. Ballard, Caviezel, and others of their ilk had primed the public to accept Sound of Freedom as a documentary rather than delusion. No, they didn't. They did not. By fomenting moral panic for years over this grossly exaggerated epidemic of child sex trafficking, much of it funneling people into conspiracist rabbit holes and QAnon communities. These people are beyond demonic. In short, I was at the movies with people who were there to see their worst fears confirmed. Grossly exaggerated? Why would they say that? Rolling Stone magazine used to be a very strong anti-government publication. Now it looks like they're so far into helping the leftist government, the Marxists in our government, that it's just disturbing. According to deliverfund.org, which is an anti-trafficking group, quote, the United States ranks as one of the worst countries in the world for human trafficking, with an estimated 199,000 incidents occurring annually. Annually. The number of reported cases, however, is much smaller. There are 11,500 reported cases of human trafficking in the United States in 2019 alone. It goes on to say, of these cases, sex trafficking was the most common type of human trafficking, occurring with 8,248 reports. Unbelievable. Pornography and illicit spa and massage businesses were the most common venues where sex trafficking occurred. 1 in 5 victims of human trafficking were believed to be children exploited for child labor, child pornography, and begging. As of the last U.S. human trafficking demographic analysis conducted by the Bureau of Justice for the period of January 2008 through June 2010, the most common sex trafficking victims were either black by 40% or white by 26%, while the most common victims of labor trafficking were Hispanics by 63%, followed distantly by Asians at 17%. Now, Adam Aron, who's the CEO of AMC Theaters since 2016, took to social media to point out how leftist sites and so-called reporters are lying about the number of people who have seen the film in AMC Theaters. He tweeted out, quote, sadly, conspiracy theorists are so prevalent in America. So much garbage information is spread. More than 1 million people have watched Sound of Freedom at AMC Theaters, more than at any other theater chain on the planet, yet people falsely claim otherwise. It is so bizarre. It really is, too. If our own federal government says that child sex trafficking is a real problem in the U.S. and around the world, and you write a review of a movie that is trying to spread awareness of this demonic industry in the hopes of trashing the movie so that people don't take it seriously enough to go watch it, then that reflects on you poorly. We're not talking about voting for Donald Trump or Biden's student loan forgiveness vote grabbing scam. We're talking about little children being trafficked in the United States and forced to have sex with adult men from 3 to 5 times per day. Many of them get sold off to trafficking rings around the globe. We're talking about parents who have had their babies snatched from them and they don't know what's happened to them. Even if it were only one child that this happened to, it is beyond maniacal to write not a movie review, but a news article trashing the message of saving children from the dark, violent world of child sex trafficking. And you should be utterly ashamed of yourself. Another ridiculous argument these people are making is that the movie took extra liberties with the truth. That's why Rolling Stone tried to say that the film studio pushed the movie as if it were a documentary when they didn't. They were asked a question about how close to the truth the movie is. And they answered that the message of the movie you could think of like a documentary because they were going over a true story. They didn't say it was a documentary. Anyone who watches this movie can see from the very beginning that it's not a documentary, it's a movie. They said it was based on a true story. All films in Hollywood that are done and labeled as based on a true story take some liberties to make the movie more enjoyable for the experience that the moviegoer is seeking. When half the country is arguing against a movie that is trying to bring awareness to the most heinous crimes that is going on inside our country, it proves that there is something seriously deficient in our culture on the left. All right, so that's it. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.
Every day I'm looking for